Hey friends, Pastor Fieberkorn here with you with Business of Heaven Mondays. Today's reading is for June 26th, 2023, under the title Love the Sinner. You've heard people say that. Hate the sin, but love the sinner. Well, C.S. Lewis had something to say about that. He said, now that I come to think of it, I remember Christians telling me long ago that I must hate a bad man's actions, but not hate the bad man. Or as they would say, hate the sin, but not the sinner. For a long time, I used to think this as a silly straw-splitting distinction. How could you hate what a man did and not hate the man himself? But years later, it occurred to me that there was one man to whom I had been doing this all my life, namely myself. However much I might dislike my own cowardice or conceit or greed, I went on loving myself. There had never been the slightest difficulty about it. In fact, the very reason why I hated the things was that I loved the man. Just because I loved myself, I was sorry to find that I was the sort of man who did those things. Consequently, Christianity does not want us to reduce by one atom the hatred we feel for cruelty and treachery. We ought to hate them. Not one word of what we have said about them needs to be unsaid. But it does not want us to hate them in the same way in which we hate things in ourselves, being sorry that the man should have done such things and hoping, if in any way possible, that somehow, sometime, somewhere he can be cured and made human again. There's some truth to that. When I used to hear people say, hate the sin, love the sinner, I agreed we should not hate people because they sin. And yet, sometimes that's an excuse to overlook the sin, you see. Well, just love them anyway, in spite of their sin, and ignore the sin. Well, that's not the case. You see, Jesus isn't going to send sin to hell. He's going to send unrepentant sinners to hell. So we hate the sin, love the sinner, but hate the fact that they keep on sinning, and we call them to repentance and rebuke them because we love them. But if we're having a hard time hating or loving the sinner, even in the midst of their sin, loving them enough to rebuke them, I think Lewis makes a good point here. You've been a sinner your whole life, and you keep loving yourself. What did Jesus say? Love your neighbor as yourself. If you can love yourself, the sinful human being you are, you can love others in the midst of their faults. Love them enough to call them to repentance and turn and believe. That's part of the business of the kingdom of heaven. All right. Hey, have a great Monday. God's peace to you.